time, we'll call ourselves to order, and I will call roll. I will call a roll this time. Mayor Kilgore is here. Councilman Gazak.
I'm here.
Councilman Anthony. Councilmember McGee.
Here.
Councilmember James.
Here.
Councilmember Gordon.
Here.
Councilmember Holloway.
Here.
And going back to Councilmember Anthony. Okay, maybe she'll check in a little bit. Okay, at this time, we'll start with our number one public comment period. We have those that have been submitted in writing. We have received those. There are minutes. And the next thing we'll go to the consent agenda. Ms. Anthony, I see you up here.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Call the roll. I see you're here.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. The consent agenda, Mr. Faith.
Mayor and members of council, Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the city council uses a consent agenda to consider items that are non-controversial and routine. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of the council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of council, a member or a citizen with the consent of council. The consent agenda contains the following items. Item 2 is for the purpose of honoring retiring police officer Donald Gene Elkins by awarding him his side arm in appreciation for his service as a police officer with the city of Monroe. Item 3 is for the purpose of awarding the contract to Atlantic Coast Contractors in the amount of $369,628.30 for the replacement of approximately 1,900 feet of water main on Bragg Street. Item 4 is for the purpose of approving a budget amendment in the amount of $18,000 to cover additional construction costs due to unforeseen demolition expenses for replacement of the whirlpool at the Monroe Aquatic and Fitness Center. Item 5 is for the purpose of calling for a public hearing for the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget to be held on June 2nd at 6 p.m. Item 6 involves minutes and reports lettered A through K. Item 6A involves disbursements from City Council's discretionary fund. There was one disbursement for the period. It involved Councilmember Lynn Kazaya dispersed $800 to Help Pregnancy Center. Item B is financial reports for March, and as a summary, I'll highlight several fund balance amounts as of April 30th. The total fund balance is $33,447,000 and change. A few subsets of that total fund balance are, and there are three components: fund balance reserved by policy, which is $10.6 million. The unassigned general fund balance is currently $4.3 million. The total assigned fund balance is $3.5 million. Item 6C is for information purposes to offer City Council a synopsis of a report in your agenda packet as an update on the dollar amount of public assistance received from FEMA related to Hurricane Florence damage. Reimbursements currently stand at a little more than $843,000 for 11 projects in 5 departments, and includes a range of items from repairing water department's administrative offices in the amount of a little more than $24,000 to replacing and or repairing the Dickerson Center's tennis courts, fencing, and parking lot areas in the amount of in excess of $255,000. There are 10 sets of minutes lettered 6D through I, and item 6J is also for information purposes to offer City Council a synopsis of a report on the purchase of Small Business Administration pool of securities. The city finance staff identified an opportunity through our investment broker, Hanover Securities, who was a Small Business Administration security pool assembler. Hanover Securities has created an investment pool in which the city may invest. The investment is backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government and therefore is an eligible investment. The city will be making an initial investment of $5 million, or roughly 2.8% of the city's investment portfolio, and may invest up to 6% of the portfolio in this category of investments. By making this investment, the city is assisting the SBA effort and initiative to help small businesses during the COVID-19 crisis. Item 6K is a summary of contracts awarded, change orders approved, and city manager settlement of claims. There were 70 contracts for the period totaling roughly $625,000. Item 7 is for the purpose of adopting the fiscal year 2020-2021 fee schedule effective July 1st with several date exceptions, one of which is for the stormwater and the other water and sewer fee changes, which will become effective January 1st instead of July 1st, January 1st of 2021. Item 8 is for the purpose of approving outside city water and or sewer services requests for 4 single-family homes located at these addresses: 1321 Medlin Road, which was requested by Silas Haynes for water and sewer; 618 and 638 Deese Road by Jason Schulenberger for water only; and 4001 Olive Branch Road by Autumn Smith for water only. Item 9 is for the purpose of disclosing that the budget and budget message has been delivered to council and with mayor approval, the budget message for fiscal year 2021 has been accepted into the public record as if it was been read in its entirety. A couple of comments though, in terms of designing the proposed spending plan this year was particularly challenging. Our property and sales tax forecasts were low or anemic to begin with. Did show a marginal increase year over year, but then COVID-19 emerged. Why is that a concern? The virus is having an unprecedented economic impact on commerce, as a number of agencies and institutional sources have reported forecasts of extremely poor economic and in particular falling employment levels. What might that mean for us? The state's stay-at-home order discourages various types of shopping and prohibited some activities. And at 5 o'clock today, the governor had a press conference which has offered some relaxing of that, but nonetheless, up until May 8th, many activities have been prohibited, entertainment venues closed, retail merchants have been almost idle, and restaurants have been closed or accepting carryout orders only. And thus, businesses that normally generate sales tax revenue and did so over the winter we expect to have fallen tremendously. Thus, I felt it was fiscally prudent to make an additional downward adjustment of expenditures as a precaution and in anticipation of lower sales tax revenues and collection rates that may have worsened for property taxes and utilities. Thus, more will be offered on this topic at the city's spending plan at the budget hearing slated for June 2nd. Item 10 is for the purpose of approving a refund of property taxes to Boggs Paving in the amount of $32,934.13 that arose from the determination that the taxed assets, taxed property, was not located within the city of Monroe. Item 11 is for the purpose of adopting a resolution expressing the appreciation to Mr. Holden for his service to the city of Monroe for over the past 25 years and extending best wishes in his retirement from the city of Monroe. Item 12 is for the purpose of approving tax releases for the month of March in the amount of $4,093.27. That was created by a change or reduction in value for the city of Monroe by the Union County tax assessor. And Mayor and members of City Council, that concludes my summary of items placed on the consent agenda for your consideration.
Saluda Anthony, I move that we accept the consent agenda.
I have a motion from
Franklin
Councilmember.
McGee, I second it.
I have a motion from Councilmember Anthony, a second from Kazire, Councilmember McGee. Councilmember McGee. Councilmember James.
Yes.
Councilmember Gordon.
Yes.
Councilmember Holloway.
Yes.
Councilmember McGee.
Yes.
Okay, that's approved by unanimous vote. This time we'll go to the regular agenda. Regular agenda item 13. Zone map amendment request to rezone property located at the intersection of Olive Branch Road and Morganville Road from general industrial to conditional district, Scotch Meadows. Text amendment request to amend Code of Ordinance Title 15, Land chapter 156, zoning code, section 156.106, official zoning map in section 156.998, title conditional district established. The public hearing has been closed. This has been tabled from March the 3rd and also April the 7th. At this time, we will hear this.
Good evening. I'm Carrie Mendler with the Planning Department. Tonight I'll be presenting a zoning text and map amendment request. As a reminder, this rezoning request is in order to develop the property located along Olive Branch Road into a single-family residential subdivision. The total area of the project is 47.4 acres. This item came before City Council at the March 3rd, 2020 City Council meeting. At that time, City Council tabled this item in order to give the applicant time to work with the neighbors to make changes to the site plan. The original staff report packet is an attachment to your current staff report. And at this time, I will go over the changes made since the March meeting. Are you guys able to see my screen right now?
Yes.
Okay. So just a reminder, the property highlighted in blue here, located at the intersection of Olive Branch Road and Morgan Mill Road. So in your staff packet, you also have the revised site plan. So the applicant has reduced the overall lot count from 186 to 162 lots. So this brings the density to 3.4 units per acre compared to the 3.92 units in the previous submittal. The minimum lot size has decreased from 4,750 square feet to 4,500 square feet. And just to orient you, the pink lots are 41-foot wide lots. And then this orange hatched lots are the 51-foot wide lots. The open space has increased due to the lot reconfiguration. So they currently have 17.3 acres of open space compared to the 16.04 acres in the last submittal. Just as a reminder, the required open space for this project was 5.9 acres. The previous submittal also did have a trail network that connected at this location and kind of followed the stream around to this other open space to the back of the project. They did remove that trail network due to expressed concerns regarding safety, but they did add a children's park area near the back of the subdivision. This area will have a play set and a picture of the proposed play set should be in your packet with the applicant's submission, and I believe he'll be going over that after this presentation as well. They also have decided to do a landscape berm along Olive Branch Road, which will help with noise buffering from Olive Branch Road and aesthetics as you're driving along Olive Branch. They also made a change to the exterior materials. For the front of the homes, they have proposed a minimum of 25% brick, stone, and or stucco materials. So the rest could potentially still be vinyl, but at least a minimum of 25% of the front of every home in the subdivision would have brick, stone, and or stucco. So as a reminder, Planning Board did recommend denial of this conditional district rezoning. We have outlined the changes, and if staff or if City Council wishes to approve the rezoning, planning staff does recommend the trail network be reinstalled on the site plan. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. And the applicant, Matt Kirchner, is also here with a presentation, I believe, as well.
Okay,
Right.
salute to Anthony. Will this development feed into the Monroe City Schools?
This is in the Porter Ridge, or sorry, the Piedmont School District.
Is the front not gonna have hardy board on it also?
If council wishes to make that as a condition, you know, if the applicant was agreeable to that, then that would be a condition that you guys could impose if you wish to improve it. But that would be between you and the applicant at this point.
So they're gonna put 25% of the rock or brick, and they also, the rest of that on the front would be hardy board. Is that correct?
Again, if that's council's wishes, then you would need to discuss that with the applicant. Matt Kirchner, I don't know if you are on.
I'm on. I can
But
answer.
before Matt says something, council, I just need to again ask that before the members speak to please identify yourselves. That way we have that in compliance with the new rules, and also it's easier for the minutes. Thank you.
Do you want me to start now with the presentation or answer some questions
If
first?
you will, Matthew, please. Matthew, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm sharing the screen now.
Okay.
Screen share.
What are we
Is
waiting
he speaking? I can't, this is Councilmember James. Is he speaking? Because I can't hear him.
He's muted.
How about now?
There you go.
I guess I want the share screen. The space bar button doesn't work anymore to unmute. So thank you, council members, mayor, and staff for allowing me to present tonight. I'll kind of start from the scratch. I'm going to make this pretty quick, just kind of go over the updates that we made to the plans.
I'm sorry, Matthew, can you identify yourself? If this is Mujib, if I'm gonna ask council to do that, I'm gonna ask you to do it as well.
That's my fault. When I was on mute, I already went to that step, so I kind of forgot I was on mute. Hello, I'm Matthew Kirchner with Eagle Engineering, representing the applicant on the rezoning project here. Going into the site plan here, the first thing you'll kind of notice on the lookout that you have here is we redesigned the road just to have these nice curves in it instead of the nice quick runway that we had before. Like Carrie said, these are going to be the 41-foot lots. These are the 51-foot lots. The big difference that you have there is in the old plan, we had maybe 10 or 15 51-footers. Now we went ahead and made the whole rear part of the subdivision, as well as all the rest of the ones that butt up against the woods 51-foot as well.
We're not seeing the presentation.
Yeah.
Matt, if you'd like, I can put that up for you and you can just let me know when to switch.
Let's see. How about now?
No.
There we go.
Here you go.
Oh, makes it light. You couldn't see the cursor or anything. I was drawing out the curved roadways for you there. Hopefully that will get you a little bit closer. So that's the roadway design they have here. And before we had 41 or 51 footers just in this middle section. Now we've added to the whole rear of the subdivision, as well as continue with it. So everyone along the woods and stream are 51 footers, and then the whole back of it. So the majority of them are the bigger lots that we have now. The bigger other picture, I mean, you guys should just go to here. So the kids amenity area is not just a kids park, and this will be not a low-end play set. It is a commercial grade play set for the community. Also in that area for kids, we will have a adult gathering area that will include a gazebo that you see here. So here's the kids play area that we're considering. This is from another subdivision. It's all metal and plastic, so nothing that will break easily, as well as the gazebo and gathering area that they have here in that location. That is this rear location that you see here. This green area is just open space as well. So this is going to be a nice grass area. So if this is overfilling, they'll be able to use this one to play football or whatever else out there to gather as well. The next part to note on that one is obviously with this layout, we went from 186 lots down to 162 lots, removing 24 lots, which will allow us to make this new design, as well as add a landscape berm along the front here. And if you look at this image here, this is from a recent subdivision. It's called the Ridge at Wesley Chapel. So as you're driving down Olive Branch, you'll have a grass area, sidewalk, grass to a planted berm, and then the houses. This is pretty much fully built out subdivision, and you can't see any of the houses from the roadway. I know that was a lot of the concern from the community as it's farmland right now. We are developing the property, but at least this one, as you're driving down Olive Branch Road, they'll still have a nice, pretty picture to look at. Lots, berm, moving the stub road forward. We had towards the back for more realistic access, talking to the airstrip property owner. Over here would be a better connection to it for the possibilities of trying to get a second connection to the subdivision. I already kind of went over the reworking the alignments and then the bigger lot sizes, going for more 51 footers and the 41 footers. Average size increased to 700 square feet. The minimum size did increase a little bit, only on the front part to get that curve in. Some of these lots got a little bit smaller, but you can see up here, some lots got a lot bigger at the same time. But I think the overall design of it definitely helped out with that way. And I know the architectural elements was a question that we have there. Right now, we are proposing a minimum of 25% stone, stucco, or brick material on all the frontages. And that's the minimum. These aren't cookie cutter houses. These are for sale houses by the owner. So the owners can come in, pick what colors they want. Maybe they could brick the whole front of the house if they want. So this is a minimum standard that we're putting on the subdivision, just for like an HOA will have it. So no matter what in their minimum will be 25% architectural elements on there. And someone else had a question for me the other day on the street. So they are city and Monroe public streets that will have a sidewalk on both sides of the street with landscape and trees. So the entire interior road will have sidewalks all along both sides of this road, as well as along Olive Branch Road to help with community connectivity. And I know there's also some talk about hardy plank on the front with the stone. I had talked to the applicant. If that is something that the council would like to see, the applicant is agreeable to have hardy plank only on the front with the stone or brick architectural elements as well. So that kind of wraps up most of the changes that we had there. I guess the last piece of it as well, and I didn't hear from City of Monroe's legal team or not. There's a corner piece of property right here that the applicant was willing to donate to the city for future use if needed for any offsite work that was going to be scheduled years down the road, that if they do need this property, the applicant would make it available for them.
Council, this is the city attorney, Majib Shakan. We weren't asked by the engineer to do that. What we did, though, is from a staff perspective, I believe Jim Lloyd discussed it. And the issue is, I'll defer to Jim, is that the land abuts, I believe, a state road. So it wouldn't necessarily be donated to us, but perhaps the state. I'll defer to Jim if he is on. I know Brian Bourne is participating in those discussions, as well as Lisa Stywinner.
Okay, council, do you have any questions? Is it a
Mayor
fight?
Holloway here. Matthew, I've got just a couple of observations. You said if the council would like to have hardy board on the front, what's not covered with brick, stucco, or stone. I think, speaking for myself, and on behalf of the council, I think we'd all like to see hardy board or cement board on the front where it's not the stone, brick, or stucco. Also, there was some talk before that Scotch Meadows name was already being used somewhere. Is it still going to be Scotch Meadow, or is there another name that, which is just, I'm just asking for information.
As of right now, Scotch Meadows is the name. Obviously, if 911 from the county says we can't use Scotch Meadows, it'll end up having to be updated. But currently, that's the first time I've heard that name's been used elsewhere.
I'm sorry, Marion, again, maybe I'm getting that confused with another one. There's two last things. The playground equipment, I guess the rating, the toughness of it, and also I believe I had heard that they were in agreement to put natural gas powered fired grills in that gazebo area. Is that correct?
That is correct. This will be a commercial grade place, that area for a residential. Obviously, it's commercial, that many houses in there. And we are looking to have grills that are gas activated in the gazebo area.
Salute Anthony. In the event that Scott Meadows is being used somewhere else, what name would the development then become?
To be honest, I have no idea. It will probably go to the builder of the actual development of what they need for marketing purposes when it gets to that point. But it would be approved by Union County 911 before it is able to be used.
If I may, this is Carrie with planning. Sometimes, so Scotch Meadows right now is the name of the conditional district. All of our conditional districts have a specific name, but there are times where that name can change due to 911 requirements. So like Matt has said, it is possible that it would change, but everything would be approved by 911 at that time.
Okay.
Matthew,
Salute Anthony. Majid, you deferred to Jim Lord to make a statement, and we were still waiting to see what he was going to explain to us.
My understanding, and I don't see Jim on the meeting unless I've missed Jim here, but my understanding is the question ended up being there was a preference to donate that, I guess, that triangular piece of property to the city for dealing with road issues in the future. Except for our understanding from a staff perspective is that the roads there are not city roads, they are state roads, and therefore the appropriate party to donate it to would be the state. And so I believe that was something that was to be communicated to the engineers and builders. I don't developers. I don't know tap in that regard, but I do not believe Jim is on here, and Brian Bourne may know as well. But
I am on, Majid.
Oh well, Jim, then take it away.
Okay. Well, you are correct. The roadways adjacent to that triangular piece, they are state maintained. The biggest complaint we receive is regarding that triangular piece because it's not maintained. And the concern would be is if it was donated to the city, the only way we would be able to maintain that area would be using general fund. I think the ultimate desire is to realign the roadway through that triangular piece. And so that it would be better if it went to the state.
And on our side, I'm perfectly fine with that. Sometimes NCDOT won't accept the property if they don't need it as well. I just wanted to give that option up to you if NCDOT didn't want to take that right away when we do the rest of the right away to them, that if the city wanted to take control of it, we would be willing to do that.
Yeah, but the biggest concern we would have is that it would become a maintenance burden upon us, and how would we maintain it unless we use general fund monies for that purpose?
And the applicant's okay with keeping control of the property. We just wanted to give you that option in case you needed it. That way easement wouldn't have to be acquired later on. It was already donated at this point, or obviously you can put right away through it. But I will work with NCDOT when I do the right of way along the front of Olive Branch. And if they accept that corner piece at the same time, I'll include it all into that plot.
Okay, salute Anthony. If in the event that the state does not want that little piece of property, would the builder be amenable to maintaining it?
Yes, if the state doesn't want it and the city doesn't want to maintain it, it would still be in the property owner's name, and they would have to maintain it.
Okay, please make sure that you put that in the project. proposal.
Matthew, Councilmember Franklin McGee here. Were all of the previous concerns from the community addressed? And if not, which ones were not?
I believe, I would say 99% of them have been addressed. The one that was out there that we did not address is they wanted a roundabout at Olive Branch and Morgan Mill. Obviously, that goes through DOT. Their requirements are the right outs with the concrete island here in the middle. And this is full access, so we'll have a turn lane concrete island that will prevent people from taking a left here. As well as when people take a right on to Olive Branch, we'll kind of force them to be a little safer as they go through. So I would say, as far as I know, all of the concerns have been met, except for adding a roundabout in this section or just leaving it as farmland with no development at all.
Thank you.
Council have any other questions? If we hear no other questions at this time, we'll take action. If you'll notice, it's action on A, B, and C.
Councilmember McGee would like to make a motion to adopt the resolution approving land development plan compliance.
Councilmember Anthony, I second that motion.
Okay, that's on A. All in favor, if you give me your name and your vote, please.
Kazire, yes.
Kazire is yes. Anthony is yes. Councilman McGee, yes. Councilman James,
Yes.
Councilman Gordon,
Yes.
Holloway,
Yes,
Kilgore, yes. All right, that will pass. B,
Councilmember McGee, motion to adopt ordinance amending section 156.106.
Man, storm's coming in.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Councilman McGee, second from Kazire. Councilman Anthony,
Yes,
Councilman James,
Yes.
Councilman Gordon,
Yes.
Holloway,
yes,
Kilgore, yes. C,
ordinance
Mayor.
amending code of,
Mayor.
Councilmember Anthony. Ordinance.
Mayor,
amending-
before that, I just want to verify, I just so I think I heard it, but I just wanted to be sure. I believe council members Anthony and McGee also voted yes, so that was a 7-0 vote. Is that correct?
yes.
That is correct.
Thank you. I just wanted to verify that.
Okay, Councilmember Anthony, ordinance amending code of ordinances, chapter 156, section 156.98, titled Conditional Districts Established.
Okay, that's item C, is that correct?
Holloway second.
That is C.
That is C, okay. I have Councilman Anthony on C as approval. Do I have a second?
Councilmember,
Councilmember Holloway did.
Holloway seconds.
Who seconded it?
Councilmember Holloway did, Mayor, and then Councilmember McGee as well, but I believe
Okay,
Councilmember Holloway was first.
okay, Councilman McGee,
yes.
Councilman James,
Yes.
Councilman Gordon,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway is already in, Councilman Kazire,
Yes.
and Kilgore, yes. That will pass you now. Okay.
I
Item,
apologize. That was Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, not Councilmember Holloway.
yes, okay, you're correct, sir. Pardon me, Councilman. Pardon me, Mayor Pro Tem Holloway.
Yes.
Item 14, police headquarters.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight, we request you to consider and approve a change order related to the demo of the slabs at the former Scott Aviation property in relation to the development and construction of the new police department headquarters. The change order entails a price escalation due to the age of the original quote and contract dating back to 2012, and an increase in scope due to the brownfield status and requirements of the environmental management plan, and additional scope per civil engineering and design drawings. Total amount of change order 1 is in the amount of $194,000 in accordance with Resolution 2000-76. City of Monroe City Council is required to authorize all change orders exceeding $50,000. This will bring the total contract amount for this demo construction to $458,500. Staff recommending City Council approve change order 1 for the demo of the slabs at the former Scott Aviation property in relation to development of police headquarters. Authorize the city manager to execute change order 1 on behalf of the city. And just as a note, there are sufficient funds in the project budget for this request.
Yeah. Councilmember Anthony, I move to approve the change. It's off the screen now. Number 1 for the demolition that D.H. Griffin will do for the police department in the amount of $458,000.
194.
194.
Okay, that's on item 14. Councilman Anthony is voting that on change order 1 and B, city manager to execute document. Am I hearing that correct?
She's made the motion, Mayor, and you don't have a second yet, I believe.
Well,
Councilmember McGee, I second that.
Thank you, Mr. McGee.
I have a motion and a second. All right, all in favor, and I'll call the roll. Councilman Kazar.
Yes.
Councilman James,
Yes.
Councilman Gordon,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway,
Yes,
Gilmore is yes. So that will pass. Item 14-15 will pass. That gets, okay, we go to item 16.
Mayor, actually, you need to go back to 15.
All right.
14 was approved.
Okay, A and B, yes, okay. 15, resolution authorizing negotiation of installment financing for the Enterprise Resource Planning Financial System and air rescue firefighting apparatus.
Good evening. This is Lisa Strickland, Finance Director. The city would like to enter into an installment financing contract to acquire the new software for the financial system and an airport rescue fighting apparatus. The city expects that this contract will have a term of approximately 10 years in the amount of $3,140,000. A financing schedule has been assembled and would allow for the closing to be on June 9th, 2020. Staff has had preliminary discussions with the local government commission and with our financial advisor, and has prepared a request for proposals that was sent to financial institutions on April 23rd. We are proposing to use First Tryon Advisors as our financial advisor and Parker Poe, Adams and Bernstein as our special counsel. Adoption of the resolution proposed tonight will provide authorization for the finance director or the manager to proceed with negotiation for the installment financing contract. It will also authorize us to file an application with the LGC for their approval. And it will, with the advice from the city attorney, allow us to enter into contracts with the professionals that I just mentioned to carry out the intention of this transaction. All documents are available in my office for review, and we are respectfully requesting that council consider adoption Resolution 2020-34 to authorize the issuance of this installment financing contract.
Salute Anthony, what is the dollar amount?
The total dollar amount is $3,140,000. $850,000 of that is for a fire truck that we've already purchased that was approved for financing for this fiscal year. And the remainder of that, $2,255,000 plus closing costs are for the financial system for the replacement that we discussed at the city's retreat. It's for the enterprise resource planning financial system.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion on item 15.
Councilmember McGee, motion to adopt resolution.
Do I have a second? Councilmember McGee moves to adopt. Do I have a second? We come down the floor. It's gonna die without a second?
No, I'm sorry, my mic was off. Holloway will second it.
Is that Mayor Pro Tem seconding?
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
Okay, I have a motion and a second now. Any discussion?
Yeah, one question. Is the computer part, is that already been done, or I'm sort of concerned about the situation we're in now with, if we couldn't wait a year on that, Lisa.
We've already entered into the contract with the vendor. We need the financing to be able to make the payments and not use the general fund reserves.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Councilman McGee. I was second by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. Councilman Gordon,
Yes.
Councilman James,
Yes.
Councilman Anthony,
Yes.
Councilman Desire,
Yes.
Councilman Kilgore, yes. So that will pass unanimously.
Mayor, could you please, even though I think your assumption is that the one who made and seconded the motions are voting in favor, if for purposes of this, you could call there along with the roll in the event that sometimes you have a member who may second it for purposes of discussion. So I would ask you to ask Mayor Pro Tem Holloway and Councilmember McGee for their votes as well.
Okay,
Councilmember McGee, yes.
Holloway votes yes.
all right, so that takes care of that. Item
Thank
six,
you for indulging me, Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for indulging me, Mayor.
All right. Item 16, section 1030, exchange for real property located 694, formerly 604 West Crawl Street.
Good evening, Brian Bourne, Assistant City Manager again. This request of council is to approve a change order request from the seller. We agreed to purchase this back in November 2012 of 19 at the strategic planning meeting there. The owner later requested us to consider a 1031 exchange. Since this was not part of the original purchase sale agreement, the 1031 exchange requires a separate approval by City Council. And just for clarification, a 1031 exchange is a financial tool which allows the seller to defer paying mostly capital gain taxes. It does not affect us financially. It's just a tool for the seller to use to financially structure their end of the transaction.
Mayor,
The property at 694 is adjacent to the current Scott property and site of the future police headquarters and adjacent senior center. It's considered a strategic purchase and critical in the redevelopment of this site. NC, North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, has indicated the site can be added to the Scott property brownfield, and that provides us the ability to use the site as an additional buffer and staging location for soils, disturbed during the first stage of development. There's a brownfield application already in process for the addition of this site to the current brownfield, and there are no additional funding needs required for this 1031 exchange. Staff would recommend council approval for this request.
Councilmember Anthony, I move that we approve the request for the 1031 exchange as part of the purchase.
Councilman Desire second.
I have a second by Council Kazire. Councilman McGee,
Yes.
Councilman James,
Yes.
I'm sorry,
She said yes.
Council Gordon,
Yes.
Council Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes,
and Councilman Anthony is a yes. Is that correct?
Yes,
And Lynn Desire?
Yes.
Yes. So that will be approved unanimously. Thank you very much.
And you need to call Councilmember McGee as well, I believe.
Did I not call him? Councilmember McGee?
I've already said yes.
Okay, we're just trying to make sure because of the roll call rule. And we're missing a vote from someone.
I was the first vote.
I know, we're just trying to ensure that we do this correctly, council.
Maybe it was me. I thought I voted Mayor Kilgore then. Yeah. Okay. Item 17. Staffing adequate fire and emergency response, a safer grant program application.
Mayor, this is Larry Faison, City Manager. I can offer some initial comments and then defer to Chief Ron Fowler to introduce the grant. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. So in a moment, I will defer to Chief Fowler to offer remarks on the grant opportunity. But first, please note that we're approaching the third fiscal year of a 10-year plan of development for Fire Station 6 that was designed to address the poor fire response times in the northwest area of the city. In the initial years, the plan was to add personnel to staff Fire Station 6, in the middle years to add equipment and apparatus, and in the latter 2 to 3 years, build the cash flow needed to fund debt service to actually build Fire Station 6. I've not been able to resource the staffing without making sacrifices elsewhere due to other competitive demands and councils and trying to meet council's priorities. But this grant represents an opportunity for federal assistance that will offset most of the cost of staffing in the initial year, less so in the second year and third year. And to help with that, I've asked Chief to anticipate shifting resources from within his department to meet most of the first year's match if we are awarded the grant. With that said, in the out years, at the end of the grant period, we'll be making up the financial difference. However, we will be approaching year 6 by the provisional 10-year plan of creating Fire Station 6 fully staffed with the help of this grant, which is the situation we tried to program over several years ago. With the help of this grant, developing Fire Station 6 gets back on track. Therefore, I think this grant is quite important and encourage Chief to bring it to your attention, even though today with COVID-19, we are looking at challenging economic circumstances, which I believe will be less of a concern in 1 to 2 years than it now appears. And with that, I'd like to introduce Chief to run through and present the grant application and grant request for City Council's consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, and thank you, Mayor and Council. Ron Fowler, Fire Chief for the City of Monroe. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about this grant opportunity. As the City Manager had mentioned, this would be to hire 12 firefighters to staff Fire Station 6. You know, we have identified a need in the northwest area of the city. Bruce, if you could put up that first map there, and I'll just reorient us to that need. You may recall we discussed this during the council retreat here recently. As it stands now, that area up in the northwest area of the city, up in the Rocky River Road, Secret Shortcut area on up into the Union Trail Road area, and even worse so when we get up into the Glendalough subdivision and the subdivisions that have been approved recently there in the area of Glendalough. Our response times are much longer in that area than they are the other parts of the city. We have some areas there that they are, and we look at this as a 90% percentile response. Some of those areas is as high as 13 minutes, and it's just a longer response than we need. Really, the only way to solve that is to add a fire station that's better geographically located to serve that area. This was identified during our accreditation assessment in 2017, and was basically recommended in our accreditation report that we evaluate our entire service area to determine if we're able to consistently provide the same level of service throughout the city. It was also an area that was looked at hard during our last ISO rating survey. Even though we did very well on that ISO rating survey, that was the two biggest areas or deficits that we had. One was the what we call the deployment analysis, or the distance from fire stations to build upon properties in the city, and also company personnel. And this station and the firefighters would also be beneficial in any future accreditation or an ISO surveys that we have. So in the map there that you see up in that light green area, in that northwest area of the city, is where this new station would be located. If you look on up in that very top of your screen, you can see some areas there that those response times in that 11 minute range. Adding this station will significantly reduce those response times. We do own land. The city does own property there on Secret Shortcut between Willis Long and Rocky River Road. As the manager mentioned, funding has been allocated in a previous budget to put a temporary facility there. So we do have that funding available, and we're working towards that goal of putting that temporary facility there. Our need is the firefighters to staff it with, to try to reallocate firefighters from existing stations to staff that station would reduce our level of service in those current areas of the city now. So it would have a negative impact on our service level response, and also negative impact on our firefighter safety. As you know, one of the things we've talked about many times is the need for the 4-person companies on our fire companies to make a more effective and more efficient response for our citizens and to keep our firefighters safe. So the 12 firefighters would basically staff 3 shifts of 4 personnel each for that station. You see there on your staff report, for 12 firefighters, the salary and benefits is approximately $896,000. So the total grant, it is a 3-year grant. The first 2 years, the federal grant portion would be 75% of the salary and benefits for the firefighters. Then in year 3, it would be the federal grant share would be 35%. So the total grant award would be approximately, we'd estimate that to be approximately $1.6 million over the course of those 3 years of federal funding. And the city's estimated share of that would be approximately $1,478,000. There's a table there on your staff report that shows what the impact would be in each of the fiscal years. For fiscal year 21, the one coming up, the city's share is estimated to be approximately $112,000. And as the manager mentioned, we have identified areas in the fire department's budget that we could defer some capital replacements to be able to provide that $112,000 local share. The grant application deadline is May the 15th. This has not been to the Public Safety Committee just because of the meeting schedules. We just haven't, since the grant opened, we haven't had the opportunity to have a Public Safety Committee meeting. The awards would start, we're being told by FEMA they would start in June and be all awarded by September. And then we would have 6 months to hire those firefighters if we're awarded. So we're projecting, that possibly be able to, if we did receive the grant, to be able to have the firefighters hired starting January 1st of 2021. The way this process would work is if we are selected for award, then we would come back to council to formally accept that award and then determine exactly how we would meet our FY21 match. It is a very competitive process. This grant, and it's safer grant, staffing for adequate fire and emergency response. It's a federal grant program that's been in place for a number of years. We actually, we've been successful twice in receiving this grant. Back in 2006, we applied for and received a grant to hire 12 firefighters then, which was a tremendous benefit to our service level in the city. And then again in 2017, we applied for a grant to hire 3 firefighters, and I received that grant. So that 2017 grant is actually will end over in the fall of this year. So again, it's a great opportunity, a great opportunity to pursue this grant to meet this fire protection need that we have identified and just have not been able to fund it locally. And I mentioned the accreditation need and the ISO need, but keep in mind the main number one need here is to improve our level of service in that area of the city for our citizens that are in that area of the city. I know we've talked about this at the Public Safety Committee level over the last couple of years, and so we know we have a need there. And again, our main goal there will be to improve that level of service to our citizens in that area, and at the same time improve the safety of our firefighters as well. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that council may have. Again, in discussion with this with the city manager, it is staff's recommendation that we apply for this grant. So we would ask for council's approval to submit an application for 12 firefighters.
And salute to Anthony, Councilwoman Anthony, recognizing that the need has been established. I'm going to move that we approve the submission of the SAFER grant, since it's time sensitive, with high hopes that we are approved.
Was that Councilman Anthony made a motion?
Yes, it is.
Motion to approve. Yeah. Okay.
All seconds.
All right, I have a motion by Councilman Anthony to approve. I have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Holloway. Desire?
Yes.
Gee?
Yes.
Councilman James?
Yes.
Councilman Gordon?
Yes.
Councilman Pro Tem Holloway?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Kilgore is yes. And I believe that gets all. I believe the roll call is correct. That's
I
been-
believe Councilmember Anthony may need to.
Yes.
Yeah,
Can-
thank you, ma'am.
I got a yes from her. Okay, so that, thank you. That gives us approve, that is approved. We'll go to 18 now.
But thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. This is Larry. Thank you again.
No,
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. We will certainly give this our best effort, and hopefully we will get approved. So thank you so much.
Item 18, state legislative agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. That is the item from my office. This is a city legislative agenda that is short, sweet, and to the point. As you know, the General Assembly just started their short session, and in preparation for that, we asked departments to provide any issues that they felt were necessary for consideration by the General Assembly in the short session. We all have recognized that with the way the General Assembly is composed, that a lot of things are not getting through. Plus, in the short session, you tend to have a rule and a requirement that anything you introduce locally has to be unanimously supported by your delegation and non-controversial. And we didn't have issues that would reach that point. And we recognize that the best thing to do was to take the items we had in our last agenda for the long session, the 4 items that dealt with largely municipal authority issues, municipal assets, and financing, and keep those in the mix. We added one additional item, which would be to seek support for funding related to COVID-19 issues. I want to appreciate, by the way, the quick response by council last week to our request to have the city support lobbying efforts to ensure that in the COVID-19 bills, municipalities were taken care of. Unfortunately, our friends of the General Assembly did not see it our way. While they have provided funding that is coming from the federal government for COVID-19 expenses, those will end up having to go through the county instead of directly the city. But we appreciate the fact that council supported that. So that's the only additional item. Otherwise, we included the league's legislative agenda that was approved before the long session started. So it is largely the same agenda you've seen last year. And if you approve it, we'll go ahead and make sure that the word gets to our delegation of what we're supporting. The only other thing I can offer is that, as you know, the General Assembly started that session last week, ended on Saturday temporarily. They are coming back in skeleton sessions for a bit, but we understand they may not be coming back for real for another week or two, maybe longer, with the goal of dealing with the budget and other issues. So that's why our agenda is going to be as basic as it is, because we think honestly that the General Assembly is not going to be pushing significant issues given the demands of COVID-19. I'm happy to answer any questions any member of council has about the agenda.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Council, have any questions? Not that, as our last item, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So move.
Mayor, you need a motion to not adjourn, a motion to approve the item.
Salute and
I'll make a
Councilwoman
motion to
Campbell,
approve it.
that we approve the legislative agenda as is.
Just a minute, please. I have a motion by Councilmember Kazire. I have a second by Councilmember Anthony. Was that correct? Did you second it? Who seconded?
I believe Councilmember Anthony made the motion.
I made the
think I heard,
motion.
yes, and I believe I heard Mayor Pro Tem Holloway second it, but Councilmember Kazai may have seconded it as well.
Okay. I have a motion and I have a second. Councilman Kazire?
Yes.
Councilman Anthony?
Yes.
Gee?
Yes.
Councilman James?
Yes.
Councilman Gordon?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Holloway?
Yes, sir.
Kilgore is yes. Did I get that right that time?
Yes, you did, Mayor. You did an outstanding job.
Stand adjourned. Thank you, folks. Appreciate you taking your time out. Y'all are really getting good at this. About 1 or 2 will be excellent. We're getting there. I know it's new to all of us, but we're getting there. But thank you so much for your preparation and working. And we'll see you next time. Good night.
Mayor, you
Good
need a
night.
motion to adjourn. Mayor, you still need the motion to actually adjourn.
I'm sorry?
You need a
Motion
motion to
Ben is
adjourn, Mayor.
gone.
I know. Mr. Kazaya has left the building. So if I could have a
Councilmember
council
Anthony, I
member,
move that we adjourn.
and if there could be a second, Mayor.
Councilmember McGee, I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay, here's,
You can call the roll.
you'll be calling again?
No, you haven't had a vote
Yeah.
on it. You just had the motion.
I called the roll, everybody said yes.
McGee, yes.
That was to item 18, Mayor. But McGee has voted yes.
Okay,
Councilmember James, yes.
yes. All right, got
Gordon, yes.
Blue, yes. Gordon is yes. Well, Mayor Pro Tem Holloway, were you yes?
It's a tough one to call, but I'll go yes.
All right,
Yes.
did I get everyone that time?
I believe, I think Keziah, but you've got enough votes for it to pass, Mayor.
Oh, he said yes. He said yes. So we can.
All right.
All that time.
Bruce said he wanted to stay a little longer.
Give me one or more, 2 times, I'll get this thing down pat. Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Good night,
Thank you very much, council.
Thank you.
Good night.